This is a common drill I like the students to learn before working on their Arabians. It's a tuck, pike, and straddle. Tuck, pike, and straddle. This is how I like to teach the tuck, pike, and straddle Arabian drill. I like to have an elevated surface, have the student begin with their arms up, have them place their hands on the mat. You're going to show them how they need to really push forward and rock, pushing out of their shoulders. It's very important in each position, the tuck, pike, and straddle, that their hips end up over their shoulders and their head is in a neutral position, not out. So their head is looking down. So arms up. So let's try just the tuck position. And tuck and recover. Excellent. Let's try the pike. And pike and recover. Good girl. Let's try the straddle. And straddle and recover. Good job. These are common mistakes that students often make when working on their Arabian drill, which is our tuck, pike, and straddle. We're going to start with the tuck. Let's try it. Okay, so the first thing is she did not start with her arms all the way up. She had them relaxed. Show me the relaxed arms. So this is incorrect. You really want to make sure that the students are nice and strong, always pulled up. I should not be able to separate her arms. Oh, let's try it again. And you're pushing, pushing, pushing. They like that. Another drill I like to do is flex those hands. Now, when I hit her hands, her elbows should not relax. Oh, got to keep those arms strong. Good girl, much better. Now she's going to be able to push up and out of her shoulders. So that was incorrect where we bend our elbows. Now, another mistake that students make is they tend to put their head out and their legs are not together and their feet are flexed. So we're going to show you the incorrect tuck position. Incorrect. So you want to make sure, once again, that the student has their hips over their shoulders and the head is in the neutral position. Okay? Show me incorrect one more time. Incorrect. Head should be down and knees are together and feet are pointed. Now push out of those shoulders. Good girl. And recover. Excellent. Now we're going to show you the pike incorrect. Let's try it. With a big arch. Let's try that one more time. And she arches, which is incorrect. So she's throwing her back out. We want to make sure, once again, that we have our arms up, nice and strong, head in the neutral position. We're going to show you the incorrect way with a big arch. Students tend to do this. And arching, So again, she didn't start with her arms up and she didn't finish with her arms up. But we're going to keep working on it. Now we're going to try the straddle. Students tend to develop their legs instead of lengthening and keeping them straight. Again, here's the incorrect for the straddle. And again, she didn't finish with her arms up or start with her arms up. Let's try it one more time. And her head is lifted, which it should be neutral. We're showing you the incorrect. There you go. Moving on to the next variation, having the students work on a lower surface. This drill, again, is a tuck, pike, and straddle, and I'd like to use it for our Arabians. Here we go. Tuck, pike, straddle. Moving on with our Arabian drill for tuck, pike, and straddle, I like the students to do it on the flat surface. Good luck. Here's another variation of the Arabian drill, which is a tuck, pike, and straddle continuous. This one's a little harder, so they really have to push out of their shoulders and engage their core. Make sure that their head is in line with their hips and shoulders. Good luck. And tuck, pike, straddle, and finish. Here's an excellent tip to help the student land their front area. What I would like for them to do is basically think of a regular front walkover. However, when they put their hands up, I want them to take a giant step backwards and try to reach their hands behind their foot. I like to keep a marker down on the mat because it will help them visualize where to actually place their hands. Again, this is going to help the landing of the front area. They're going to really push out of that base leg, which is going to help them stand properly. Here we go. Excellent. Backward roll to plank. This is the breakdown for backward roll to plank. Have the students begin with their arms up and their fingertips facing each other with their palms down. Then what you want them to think about is having their legs straight, and they're going to sit back and roll. Keep those legs straight. Now don't go over. Show me the position. From this position, they're going to have to push, keeping their arms as straight as possible to go into the plank position. Stand up. Let's go ahead and try that. Use that core. Good girl. Ready, and go. And all the way. Push, hold. Good. Now, from here, it's very important that they stay hollow and not in the arched position. Show me the arch. That is incorrect. Show me the correct position to land. Hold it right there. Head up, head neutral. And that's our backward roll to plank. Handstand against the wall using an elevated head mat. Spotting tips for handstand against the wall using an elevated panel mat. Have your student raise their arms nice and strong right by their ears. Let them tendu whichever foot they feel most comfortable. Have them step into a big deep lunge. Make sure that their knee is bent and their back knee is locked. Have them kick up. When they kick up, make sure to tell them to place their hands in the middle of the mat, not too far front and not too far back. And give them a lift right there. Hold. Make sure they squeeze their ankles together. Make sure they're pushing up and out of their shoulders. And their head is looking at their fingertips. You can still hold them this way if you feel necessary. Let them hold it only for about 4 counts. Then they can split their leg, bring their arms up, and recover. Common mistakes that students make when learning handstand to the wall using an elevated panel mat. When you ask them to raise their arms, usually their arms are too wide. So that's incorrect. Make sure that they're squeezing their ears. When you ask them to tendu, make sure their leg is straight. And when you have them lunge, they forget that they have to place their heel down. So place that heel down and show me a proper lunge. Big lunge, so their knee has to be bent. Sometimes they think about bending the back knee instead of locking the back knee. Then they're not going to be able to push out of their leg. When they kick up, their arms are usually too wide and their legs are bent. So we would have to work on that. Kick up with those bent, ugly legs, and this is what we get. Not so pretty. So when they get to the wall, that's what we look like. And their head is usually incorrect, looking the wrong way. So have them have their head up, straight legs and pointed feet, squeezing those ankles together, not turned out, parallel. Make sure you tell them to push out of their shoulders. When they come down, usually they come down with bent legs. So our legs are bent when they come down, very sloppy, and they forget to bring those arms up. Sometimes they stop them right there. Make sure their arms come all the way up, right by their ears, and finish. Elbow stand against the wall using an elevated panel mat. teach a shoulder stand. Have the students begin kneeling on 2 knees. The first thing you want them to do is place one arm behind them and the second arm goes in front of them and their bottom is up. Have them extend one leg back, lift the leg, rotate to the straddle. Have them squeeze their core and engage nice and tight. Their legs are in the straddle position. See if they can find their balance. Excellent. Assist them. Going back down and finish. Common mistakes that we find when teaching a shoulder stand. The student places their hand in front of their leg instead of behind, and when they kick up, they're not resting on their shoulder to balance, they're actually resting on their neck, which causes them to roll. This is what happens in the incorrect position. That's why it's difficult if they don't have their hand placed behind them, their other hand placed in front of them to do the shoulder stand. It's very important that they engage their core as well. Chin stand, half turn. Here are some spotting tips for chin stand, half turn. Have the student begin on their knees, have them kick up to their standard chin stand. One leg at a time, nice straight legs. They must squeeze their legs tight together. This would be incorrect when I open her legs. She's not squeezing. She has to pull up in this rib cage. If she's sinking back, she's not going to be able to finish the turn. At that point, have her move her hands and push. Hands, push, give them assistance, keep stretching those knees, lift, split one leg, and recover. Yogi. Here are some spotting tips for a yogi. I like to teach a yogi for the first time using an incline or a cheese mat. So, have the student reach their arms up and push up into a neutral bridge position. Have them walk their hands in, just about 2 steps or 3 steps is fine. They can pop their heels. I want them to think about pressing their pelvis down and holding that position, then go back to the neutral position, stretch those knees, feeling a good stretch, rocking through the shoulders, and hold. Here are some common mistakes that students make when learning their yogi. So, we have them bridge up, but their legs are actually too far apart. They think about opening their legs and turning out their feet instead of keeping them parallel. When you want them to press their pelvis down and sink their bottom to their head, they actually end up arching more. They get confused because they're upside down. So again, this is the incorrect way to do a yogi and recover. Back bend over the toes. Here's the breakdown and common mistakes for back bend over the knee. Have the student begin kneeling on 2 knees with their feet stretched and pointed instead of flexed. Here's the incorrect, where she flexes her toes. Now stretch your feet and point. You're going to have them rock forward, lean. The first is a little hinge. I want them to press up, push up, hinge, and back down. Let's try that again. And push up, hinge, and back down. Now we're going to go for the back bend up over the toes. And go. Push, rock front, and arms up into the bridge, hold, and back down, and recover. Back bend from the knees. This is how we spot back bend from the knees. Make sure the spotter is in front of the person, not to the side of the student. Otherwise, they're not going to have enough support and strength when taking the child back and up. So, you can kneel down and put one leg up. There, you'll take their arms and raise them up. Nice strong arms. Make sure their arms are nice and strong. They're going to push their belly forward. Go back with them. Have them place their hands on the floor. Then they're going to push out of their thighs, keeping their arms by their ears, and recover. Crab walks using a cheese mat. Here are some spotting tips for teaching crab walks using a cheese mat. Have the student lie down on their back. Make sure their feet are facing the inclined position. Have them reach their arms up into bridge position. Make sure their fingers are facing their heels. Give them some help. Bridge up. Make sure their head is down and relaxed and there's no tension in the neck. You're still supporting their back. The incline is going to actually help them which direction to travel. Let them start with their hands or feet, whatever they feel most comfortable with. Keep walking down with them. Keep walking. Excellent job. Keep going. When they get to the end, have them stop right there. Help them bring their chin into their chest. Slowly come down and finish. Here are some common mistakes that students often make when learning their crab walks using an inclined mat. When you have them raise their hands and place them in bridge position, they usually turn them out to the side. So that's incorrect. When you have them bridge up, what they like to do is open their legs immediately and turn their feet out. So we're going to show you the incorrect way. I have to give them some assistance here. It's a little difficult. Now, when you ask them to walk, sometimes they get a little disoriented because they're upside down. So they end up walking forward, which is hard, so you want to tell them to walk backwards. Give them some assistance. You can have somebody at the edge of the mat, and we're going to stop right there. Now, when you have them tuck their chin into their leotard, make sure you tell them to keep their head up, eyes to the sky. Press their belly down, and have them recover. Passe ponies. This is how I like to teach and spot pony passes for the first time. I like the students to have their feet on an elevated mat. It's very important that once they bridge up, they shift their weight back over their shoulders. We're going to show you in a minute. So, have the student put one hand forward and help them up with their bridge. Make sure that that hand turns and pivots. Make sure their head is relaxed, not up. So again, relax. Have them shift their weight back over their shoulders. Take their leg to passe and jump and chain 1, 2, 3, 4. Developé and over and finish. These are incorrect positions in the pony passe. Again, mistakes that the students often make. So, when they bridge up, they sometimes even forget to turn this hand. Make sure that that hand turns. That's the only way that they're going to bridge up. They try to jump into their passe without shifting their weight over their shoulders, and they're not going to be able to really jump. So we have try to change it, and try to change, but all her weight is actually going forward. Now, she does it one more time. Incorrect. I'm going to try to help her get over, but it's going to be difficult. And try to kick over, but again, you can see how she finishes not in a good position. Her knees were bent, her feet were flexed. It's very important that they keep their weight shifted over their shoulders so they're able to execute pony passes. Inside outs. This is how I like to teach inside outs. Again, I always like to start with an elevated surface. It helps them know exactly where to place their hands. I like to make sure that the students keep their hands at the edge of the mat. So her hands are going to go one hand and the other hand pike up. Legs are going to be straight. She must lift this hand, spot that, touch the hand and the leg that they need to move over. Hold this position. Tap the leg and the arm that needs to move. Again, before she moves, she's going to change that hand. Tap 1, 2, so they know exactly which side to push from. One more time. 1, 2, giving them a good spot. And finish. Here are some mistakes that students make when learning their inside outs using an elevated surface. So, they place their hands on the mat, but their hands are actually too far instead of keeping them at the edge of the mat. Then you have them pike up, but their legs are open and their knees are bent. Again, this is an incorrect position. Even if I'm tapping 1, 2, they forget to move this hand. So if you don't move this hand, what's going to happen is she's going to end up in a table instead of her bridge. Then she's going to flip over one more time with her legs bent and open. Incorrect. Now she forgets to move this hand, so she goes into her table and her head is back, but she forgets that she really needs to be in a bridge position. You can come down. This is an incorrect way to do inside outs. Now we have back tension. This is how I like to teach and spot a back tensica. In the back tensica, the student is actually going to place their hands the same way that they do in the front tensica. So it's going to be same on his leg, and opposite on his leg is going to go up. The opposite on his leg, which is also their base leg, this hand is going to touch the floor first, but we have to make sure that we separate hand, hand, foot, foot. Okay? The position is arching back. This arm, which is their base leg arm, is going to touch the floor first. This hand is going to touch the floor second. We're going to try it. Ready? And finish. That's how we teach a back tensica. Here are mistakes that students make when they learn their back tensica. They will place the incorrect arms up. This is incorrect. Now, if they do place the correct arms forward, what happens is they don't feel strong enough to push out of this one shoulder. They end up actually doing a back walkover instead of reaching back and separating their arms. Here's the incorrect way for the back tensica, which actually turns into a back walkover. Front limber. This is how I like to teach a front limber. I usually have the students start learning it on an elevated surface, of course, after they have mastered their handstand. I like the students to have dots placed on the mat because it helps also know exactly where their hands and their feet need to be placed, in addition to where their lunge needs to be executed. So, let's begin. Have the students raise their arms, tendu, lunge. Hold the handstand. You as a spotter are standing on the elevated mat, pulling them up if they need assistance. Grab them under their back, control the legs down. Take your other hand, help them up, and recover. Here are some common mistakes that I find students make when executing their front limber. The first thing they do is when they raise their arms, they're not all the way by their ears. Their arms are too wide and their elbows are bent. So again, that was incorrect. Then when you ask them to tendu, they'll tendu, but they actually kick that leg and flex that foot too high. And when they lunge, their knee is not bent. So this is again incorrect. We're going to keep executing the incorrect way to do the front limber. So when they kick up to a handstand, sometimes the second leg comes up bent instead of straight. She's all wobbly because she's not pushing out of her shoulder. Her legs are bent and her feet are more relaxed. Then they end up bending their knees instead of arching their back. You as a spotter need to grab their arms, but you see how she brought her head up first? Again, that is the incorrect way to do a front limber.
Three-handed front walkover. Here's the breakdown for three-handed front walkover. Begin in an L position with the dominant arm and leg forward. Place the dominant arm closer to the dominant leg and hand, one more hand, and recover.
Moonwalks. This is how I like to teach and spot moonwalks. I like the students to begin on an elevated surface. It's actually easier for them to execute the first part of the moonwalk, which is a back limber. So, have the students begin with their arms up. Put your hand under their back, around their waist. When they're on the elevated surface, they're going to have a little bit more pressure applying to their hands. Give them a good spot and back one, and over, and two, and push, finish, and recover. These are common mistakes that students make when working on their moonwalks. They tend to open their legs and bend their knees, and they don't push out of their shoulders. We're going to show you the incorrect way. Her knees are open. Let's try that one more time. And she's having trouble because she's not pushing out of her shoulders and working from 2 feet. Again, those are common mistakes that students make when working on their moonwalks. Elbow back walkover, split rotation. Here are spotting tips for elbow back walkover, split rotation. Have the student begin with their arms up, tendu, nice strong arms, lift the leg 90 degrees, give them a spot, have them control, place their hands and melt down to their elbows. Hold the split, grab their hips, rotate, good girl, keep rotating, excellent, stretch those knees, and recover. Kick over at the wall with an elevated panel mat. Spotty tips for back kickover using an elevated panel mat and a wall. Here we go. Have the student place their hands in bridge position. Make sure that their elbows are squeezed right by their ears, not too wide. Let them really press out of their legs to push up to their bridge. You can give them a little assistance if you feel. Have them walk their hands in. Then they're going to start to walk their hands and feet in at the same time. Once they get as close as they can, have them place one foot and then the other foot. Their knees are still bent. Let them try to stretch their knees as much as possible. Let their legs slide down. At that point, have them kick any leg they feel over to the split, push, and recover. Here are some common mistakes that students often make when learning their back kickover on an elevated mat using a wall. So, the first thing that we usually find is when you have them place their hands in bridge position, they get confused which way to place their fingers. Always tell them have their fingers placing the same direction as their heels. Make sure their elbows are not open. Make sure that you tell them to squeeze their arms right by their ears. Also, when you have them push up, they forget to bring their feet at the edge of the mat. We like to have them start here, but what they think about is walking their feet forward to do the bridge. So that's incorrect. When they push up to their bridge, have them use the magic string. We're going to let her push up in the incorrect position just to show you. So using the magic string, you're still going to give them assistance. Push, 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 but this is a hard position. So have her fix her fingers to her heels. Correct. Now, her feet are so turned out that she cannot support herself properly. In acrobatics, it's very important to have your students work parallel. Have her walk her hands in, and then start to assist her walking her feet in. Sometimes they get confused. At that point, have them place one foot on the wall and the other foot on the wall. Their knees are bent. Let them straighten their knees. However, try to make sure their feet get together. Now, when they kick over, have them choose any leg, but make sure that they don't switch. So whichever leg they start with, tell them that's the leg that they want to finish with. Those are some pointers when we do our back kickover on an elevated mat. Back extension to handstand. This is how I like to spot the back extension to the handstand. We do it in 2 steps. The first step being, you're going to have the student do a back extension and stop at their candlestick position. Here we go. Hold them right there. Valdez. This is how I like to spot a Valdez. I like to break it down in 2 steps. The first one is having the students kick up and hold them in their passe counter style. Hold. Make sure that they don't twist and they turn their supporting hand. Develop it, undo, and kick over. Now, we're going to continue putting the Valdez together. It's important that the students don't think about the supporting hand, which way it turns. It will automatically pivot in. We're going to put this together. Here we go. Back limber, back handspring. Here's the breakdown for back limber, back handspring. First, the student begins with their arms up, nice and strong. Flex your hands for me. Let's check. Don't bend those elbows. Excellent. Stretch. They're going to do a back limber, back bend, give them a good spot. As they lean right there, they're going to jump back to the back handspring. Now I'm going to show you how I spot back limber, back handspring continuous. Arms up. And back limber, and jump. Good girl. Moving on to aerial cartwheels. This is how I like to spot an aerial cartwheel. Once the student has mastered jab spring no handstands and jab spring push-away cartwheel, they can then move on to jab spring aerial cartwheel with you, the spotter, giving them a little spot underneath their hip. Make sure you are always facing the student so you know, number one, when they're coming, and number two, you have control over their aerial cartwheel. Here we go. Common mistakes of an aerial cartwheel. Sometimes the students like to bring their hands in instead of reaching them fully up and pulling them backwards and then out. Also, they usually don't turn their hips soon enough, so that they end up landing open instead of square. This is a common mistake of the aerial cartwheel. Here we go. Tips for learning the aerial cartwheel. It's very important that the student executes their jab spring in a hollow position and that their energy continues to travel forward. If their back is arched, their energy is going to go that way and their body's going to go that way. So they're really not going to have enough momentum. It's very important that they lunge right here at the edge of the mat, having their chest connected on their leg and kicking their back leg. When they kick their back leg, they need to twist their hips facing the other direction immediately. Also, students sometimes think that they dive instead of going down up. So it's very important that they don't fly across the mat, that they think about going down up. Once the student has executed the jab spring no hands hands, and you feel comfortable as the teacher, that's when you can start spotting them on the aerial cartwheel. So here we go. We're going to execute jab spring no hands hands, which is key preparation right before the aerial. Here we go. And finish. Standing aerial cartwheel. Students should only progress to the standing aerial cartwheel once they have mastered the jab spring aerial cartwheel on their own. Here we go. Next, we have our dive roll. Dive roll. This is how I like to teach the dive roll. Have the students begin with their arms up, strong by their ears, nice and tight. Make sure that they're locked. Then you're going to take the student by their hips. They're going to plie or bend their knees. They're going to think of reaching up, out, and over. Instead of with a basic roll, they would actually squat down and put their hands a little further in front. With the dive roll, they need to think of reaching out. So you're going to make sure that they tuck their chin all the way into their leotard, keeping it nice and tight like a little ball. So arms up, head up, and plie, and jump, push. Excellent. This is how I like to teach a dive roll. I like to find a prop and place it on the mat. Have the students raise their hands, have them circle their arms behind them, and have them think of reaching out. Bend their knees, but don't let their knees touch the mat. Have them tuck their chin and push forward and finish. Another way I like to teach the dive roll is to have one student kneel down and they're actually going to tuck in a tight little ball. The student that's going to execute the skill, have them stand a little further back behind, and they're going to place their arms up by their ears. They're going to think of plie, jump out and over. It's very important that they know where to put their hands. They cannot put their hands on this side because what happens is they're going to roll over their partner. That's not going to be fun. So they have to think of plie and they're going to reach and put their hands on the other side. Let's try it. This is the incorrect way when learning a dive roll. The students place their hands up, but instead of circling their arms backward, they end up circling their arms forward, and then they place their hands in front of the prop. When they bend their knees end up touching the mat. They cannot push from this position, and their hands are already incorrect. Then when they roll, they cannot stand up. So therefore, that's an incorrect way to do a dive roll. Back tuck. Back tuck. When spotting a back tuck, make sure that the students know the tuck position, which we learned earlier. Make sure their knees come into your chest. Do not allow them to throw their head back. They must set and then bring their knees in, and then you're going to help them, giving them a lift right here with the legs. I also like them to have either pants or a shirt so you can hold them for extra support. Here we go. This is a tuck position. I like to teach it using a cheese mat first because it helps the students know where to place their knees. Here are some helpful hints teaching a tucked position. Have the students raise their arms, make sure that they're not too far back, that they're right in line with their shoulders. Let them bring their knees in comfortably all the way to their chest. Make sure that their legs are parallel and not too high. So their feet are pointed, their ankles are squeezed together, and this is what we call our tucked position. Then to recover, extend the legs out and place the hands down. Now we have a hollow jump using an inclined cheese mat. This is going to help the students with their jump spring in all of their preparations for their skills. Here we go. Here are some pointers for teaching a hollow jump. I like the students to raise their arms. When they jump forward, it's very important that they do not arch their back, that they keep their ribs inside, keeping the hollow position, and their head is kept forward, not thrown back. Especially when they land, it's very important to remain in the hollow position. This is going to help them with all their skills and takeoffs. So, when they jump in the air, first they're going to bend their knees and have their arms go back as far as they can. When they jump in the air, they're going to jump forward, keeping the hollow position and their feet stretched. And finish. Here's an excellent stretch for your students to lengthen their hamstring. What you have the student do is lie on an elevated surface. What you're going to do is test their hamstring, see where their natural flexibility is. With her, it's right about here. Do you feel that? Okay, so now we're going to have her bend this leg, stretch her opposite leg out. Make sure that they're nice and relaxed and that their knee is slightly off the mat. You're going to shake her leg, no tension. You're going to pull back and she's going to pull the opposite way. We're pulling, relax. Shake again, Now I'm going to pull one more time. We're going to bend this leg. Now we're going to check the hamstring. Excellent. There's your hamstring stretch. Here's a shoulder stretch that I like to use with the students. I have one bouncer and several elevated mats. Have the student lie down flat on their stomach, grab their arms, and press their arms forward nice and slow until they feel the extension, holding it right there. Count to about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring them back gently, arms to the side, and finish. Here's another shoulder stretch that I like to use, having the students clasp their hands. Here we go. Have them clasp and straighten. Now gently press their arms, nice and slow. Hold it once they feel it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax.